As I said before in part 1 of this video, most spacecraft use an ablative heat shield, but the space shuttle uses reusable heat shields. Rather than a material that disintegrates upon re-entry, the space shuttle is covered in approximately 24,300 silica tiles, 6" by 6" that cover almost every surface on the craft. The gray, however, is a different material that has a higher stress load. It's carbon paneling, which the carbon paneling is a weak overall material, but it has crazy high heat tolerance. That's why it's on the higher. It's attached to the higher drag areas of the craft, for instance, the leading edge of the wing and the nose. The silica panels are quite literally glued onto the spacecraft with a material with similar bonding strength to window caulking. They're put on very loosely. In fact, during launch and ascent, most space shuttles lose anywhere from 3 to 500 of them. But for the most part, they're under over areas such as the high-strength steel airframe that's very high heat tolerance. Well, that wasn't the case, unfortunately, for, I'm pretty sure it was the Challenger disaster that obliterated on re-entry. Another thing that separates the space shuttle from normal aircraft is the gear. For most spacecraft, the gear is reusable. You just you take off, you pick up the gear, you come back into land, you put it out. The space shuttle, it can only deploy its gear once. It only has enough hydraulic fluid in the lines for deployment. Besides, the hatches to deploy the gear are bolted down with pyrotechnic bolts on launch. Once the gear are down, it's your only shot to land. Otherwise, you're usually going to end up belly down on the grass. That's a large reason why for half a mile around the entirety of the runway they just made it soft grass in case anything happens. And before that, they landed on a 5-mile lake bed. The other thing to note is the shuttle, the second it deorbits, it's simply a glider. These engines are useless except for launch. The second that detaches the fuel tank, these are out of fuel. The only thing left